Today on the Norse Benchawarmers podcast, we'll be chatting about FC Cincinnati, their start to the season, and talk some NKU baseball and softball. But first, it's better late than never as we share our thoughts on WWE WrestleMania 40. Welcome back to the Norse Benchwarmers podcast. I'm your host, Colton Smith, here joined by Josh Northcutt and Savannah Belote. And today we are going to talk about some WWE WrestleMania. It's a fun one. I actually watched some of this. I got some ideas. I didn't see night one, so I'll let you guys take it over there. But I did see some of night two, so I might have some thoughts on that.
Fair enough. All right, so we'll go straight into it and talk some night one. What is your biggest takeaway of like your favorite part, disappointing moments, so forth?
Disappointing moments. Obviously the Usos match.
Yes.
That was so disappointing.
I had the hope of maybe not like a Bret Hart, Owen Hart type historic WrestleMania match, but definitely didn't think it would be a Jeff Hardy, Matt Hardy repeat of just two brothers that did not have chemistry together.
Yeah. No.
What was your favorite part of the match or show, I should say?
Of the show, of night one,
yes,
it had to be the first match, Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch, which is now unfortunate because Rhea had to vacate the title last night for an injury.
Yeah, that by far was maybe my second favorite moment. My favorite moment was Sami Zayn beating Gunther in one excellent match. Got the best out of Sammy like Gunther always does, and now that he dropped the IC title, I can definitely see him being a future opponent for the world title, either one of those.
Yeah.
And then I also really enjoyed the A-Town Down Under winning the tag titles, and then Awesome Truth winning the other one.
Yeah, I enjoyed Awesome Truth winning. I don't know about the other one though.
Yeah. So with night two, any takeaways from that you really enjoyed, or
Cody finishing the story finally.
Cody finishing the story.
Yeah, Cody is now the champion.
Yes,
he beat Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns' 3.5 year long reign as champion is finally over.
Yes,
like we did there with Reign.
You said you had some day two thoughts.
Yeah, I thought that was incredible. As somebody who hasn't really watched WWE, I thought it was really awesome to see. You know, I was maybe a little confused with some of the backstory there, but, you know, seeing John Cena just sprinting in, like, and saving the day, and then The Rock coming in, and then The Undertaker. Like, even as somebody, I see the lights go out, I hear that sound, I know what's coming.
Yeah, I mean, before the show we were talking about it, like, the dong and the glass break are the two most historic sounds maybe in all of pro wrestling.
Yeah.
Outside, obviously, the woo. But, but I mean, that... And I know I'm in the minority here. It felt a little overbooked to me, but it's also a very memorable WrestleMania moment that everybody's going to be able to remember for now on. Another takeaway from night two that I enjoyed was Damian Priest finally cashing in and becoming the first Puerto Rican world champion ever. And then CM Punk basically screwing over Drew McIntyre.
Oh, yeah, because the whole thing with Drew and Seth is that Seth was too focused on Rock and Roman.
Correct.
That he got pinned by Drew, but then Drew got too in his head about CM Punk, and then he lost the title to Judgment Day pretty much. So it kind of ties all together.
It actually does. And the just booking of it, like a lot of times pro wrestling, like we just want it to make sense, like a movie. And this show felt like a lot of stuff made sense. And then we can fast forward a little bit, or actually no, a little disappointing. I didn't enjoy the street fight either. The Philly street fight.
No.
It just kind of felt like it was there. And I wanted a little bit more out of it, but it was almost like six guys just lost in the sauce.
Yeah. I did like Bubba Ray Dudley showing up though.
Philadelphia, Bubba, it's always going to. And then how dare I forget, Bayley also getting her WrestleMania moment and winning the title. What did you think of that match?
I loved it.
Yes.
I love Bayley. So seeing her finally like get this opportunity, like the other like 4 horsewomen of wrestling, it's just very great to see her get that moment.
Absolutely. And then I know I'm kind of bouncing all over the place, but the whole story making sense. It also led to a SmackDown incident. Did you happen to watch SmackDown at all with the Bloodline situation?
I saw a little bit on TikTok.
Okay, so Paul Heyman went on to explain and not make excuses for Roman, but literally said, we're taking blame for it. This is what's going to happen. And it was great booking.
Yeah.
Paul Heyman just said he got distracted. He saw the chance to get revenge on Seth, who was the perfect shield for Cody, and get the revenge for what happened to him years ago and hit him with the chair.
Yeah.
Took eye off Cody. Cody capitalized, won the match. And then Solo grabbed the mic from Heyman and said losses need to be punished. He basically turned on Jimmy.
Yep.
And Tama Tonga joined the team. The only issue I have with this is Solo had a 0-32 losing streak.
Yeah.
But he's saying losses should be punished. You got to give him some wins if he's going to punish anybody for losses.
Exactly.
So that whole situation. And then obviously you mentioned the other big thing with Rhea being injured. Next Monday, they're going to go on and have some kind of women's title match. They haven't explained what yet.
Yep.
What would you want to see them do? Like a fatal 4-way, one-on-one, like
Maybe like a fatal 4-way.
fatal 4-way?
Yeah, I want to see Chelsea Green win though.
Okay.
So, yeah, and I will be there. I will be in attendance next Monday for Raw. So I'll see how it goes.
That's awesome. That's up in Columbus next week.
Columbus, right? And then Friday SmackDown in Cincinnati.
That is a lot of wrestling. That is awesome though. So Chelsea Green is who? You don't get annoyed with that character at all?
No, I love her.
Man, I'm not a fan of her. Personally, I just don't know who else you would put the title though on when it comes.
I think they'd put the title on Nia or Liv.
That would make sense. I mean, Liv probably makes the most sense. She capitalizes off all the injuries and this and that.
She's on a revenge tour.
Yeah. Yeah, that is definitely nuts. And then what did you think if you happen to see either Raw after WrestleMania or SmackDown after WrestleMania, then bringing up some of these NXT guys to show off their talents?
So they had Ilya and then they had Roxanne come on Raw. I enjoyed Ilya's performance. Yeah, I enjoyed those.
Okay. I guess the last thoughts would be, who do you want to win between AJ Styles and LA Knight for
LA Knight.
LA Knight.
Didn't even have to think about that one.
Are you still doing your podcast, or you just been busy with school and everything else?
Busy with school. I plan on starting it up again soon.
Okay. So if you want to plug it, you're more than welcome to.
Yeah, it is the Diva Discussion. It is on Spotify as of right now. Probably will be on more soon.
Oh, yeah. So it's covered basically everything.
Yeah, be sure to go check that out. And we are going to go ahead and take a short break. We got some soccer talk coming up, but when the Norse Benchawarmers podcast comes back.
Only in the forest can you see this. And this. And this. But nothing beats the moment you see that.
Cool!
That's your child's eyes opening up to a world of possibilities.
I didn't know it could do that!
Because one trip to the forest can spark a world of difference.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go, like hiking, canoeing, fishing, or camping. Or create your own adventure with family and friends, and you might just see this. Your moment's out there. Find it at discovertheforest.org. That's discovertheforest.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing, but not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. This breaks my heart, and it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and gives it to families in need. To help, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the Norse Benchawarmers podcast. Colton Smith here, joined by Josh Northcutt and Dimitri Fisick here for the first time on the show. Welcome to the show, Dimitri.
Appreciate it. Happy to be here.
We got some soccer to talk about, and FC Cincinnati more specifically. They had kind of a rough start to the season. Remember, this is a team last year that won the Eastern Conference, went to the conference finals, were up 2-0 in the conference finals, and then were not able to get the job done, lost to their rival. And they've started the season off. They had high expectations, but they had 3 wins, 3 draws, 2 losses. Currently sitting 5th in the Eastern Conference. Their recent 3 games, they've had a draw, 2 losses. They only have 8 goals on the season. What's going on with them so far?
So for me, the biggest issue is that we lost our left flank in Alvaro Barreal. He was sent on loan to team in Brazil or Argentina. I can't even remember. Don't matter because it's not FC Cincinnati.
Right.
But he's only on loan, so hopefully they can get him back, maybe sell him for a decent price. But without him on the left side, it's just been really hard. We got Luca Oriano on loan as well from Vasco da Gama, but he hasn't really adapted to the left fullback position as much as Alvaro Barreal did. Now keep in mind, they're both wingers, so it's kind of harder to go from a higher attacking position to a lower defending position, even though they do the same exact job. It's just where they start off in the play. So Oriano just needs to adapt to that, and I feel like once Oriano adapts to that position and the play through the middle of the park with Obina Nwobodo and Pavel Buka, and they can get that ball to Lucho Acosta, it's just going to be a lot more goal scoring you'll see as the season progresses. It's just a little bit harder now because the team doesn't have as much chemistry as they did last year. Players that have played together for 3 years until the team just essentially disbanded altogether last year.
I'm going to say a name I didn't hear you bring up was Brandon Vasquez also is gone. Do you think that's another key part? Or
I was never a fan of Vasquez.
Okay.
I'm not going to lie. He had a touch of like a wooden tree, if there's any other type of tree. But like whenever he got the ball at his feet, it's either he loses it or he scores. That really didn't help out much at all. He had, I believe last year it was a struggle. I don't know exactly how many goals he had last year, but the year before he was decent. Last year I didn't like it at all. I'm surprised we even were able to sell him to Monterrey because he didn't do very well last year. Anytime he got the ball, it just seems like unless he was in the 18-yard box, he'd lose the ball to a defender, and it was just hurting our team constantly. And essentially that's what I've seen from Lucho Acosta so far this year. He's not really cared as much when he's on the ball, so he loses it. But also when he gets past defenders, we score. So it's just sort of a thing where Lucho Acosta also just needs to adapt to not having maybe the target in Brandon Vasquez that he was looking for. Their replacement for Vasquez was supposed to be Corey Baird. Baird's been out with injury for like 2 weeks now, and Aaron Bupenza is still there. So they've been playing Yuya Kubo, who he's all over the place. He can play defense, midfield, attack. Kubo's just an all-around player, but the thing is he struggles because he has to go to every single position, so he can't adapt game after game. Last game of the season last year, I believe he played left fullback because Barreal was injured, and then the second week of the season this year, he was playing striker. So it's just definitely a positional thing for Kubo, but I believe that once the team, like I said, gets the chemistry with players playing in different positions and new players playing in those positions, there's definitely going to be a lot more goal scoring.
Well, you kind of already answered this next question I was going to ask, but as Colton mentioned, they have now lost back-to-back for the first time in over a year. They did not do it at all last year. Are you concerned at all, or is it still like you just said, early season struggles of a new team?
I'm not worried at all. It's just, like you said, new team, players need to be more put together with each other, and I feel like they did the same thing at the start of last year. It was a slow start. They didn't lose, but they had draws and just not enough points. It's a slow start, but they just need to figure out a way to recover from it, because the number one team, who's currently got 15 points, is only 3 points away from us in the standings. We're in 5th place. So we still have a game in hand on them. I believe it's Inter Miami.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if we win our next game, and let's say Inter Miami has a bye, we go to first place because we have 15 points, and we've gotten 15 points in less games than they've gotten, essentially. But there's also the opposite side of that. Chicago Fire is currently in 12th place. They have 9 points, also 3 points away from us, and they have a game less than us. So it's the same exact thing from their standpoint. If they win the next game, and let's say we have a bye, they go up to our position, and we could easily drop to number 11. Mm-hmm. So since the season's really young, there's still so much gap in the standings that any team could go anywhere. Inter Miami could still finish dead last, even though they're first right now. So there's still so many games to play. I think there's 29 more games, so there's plenty of way to go.
Fair enough.
So you would say like the key for this team kind of turning the corner would just be getting more time, more touches, getting players in the position they need to play. Like, do you think that's the key for them to turn this around?
I think it's all about just patience with each other and just taking their time. The coaches need to take time. Pat Noonan, he's done a great job since he's taken over. He just needs to calm the team down a little bit. Seems like they're getting a little too frustrated with each other. But if they can learn each other's styles of play, it's definitely going to be a very potent team to other teams.
And then they added DeAndre Yedlin.
Yedlin.
Yedlin. I've always was a fan of him at Tottenham, my favorite European team. What are your thoughts on adding him to the defensive side? Because it seems like FCC might have one of the best defense, if not, again, the best defense in the FCC or in the MLS.
See, going back to like my first point, Oriano and Yedlin, they're left and right backs, but they play attacking.
Okay.
So Yedlin's job is to run up to the attacking side of the field, and we only have 3 defenders in the back. So they're supposed to go up and down the flank all 90 minutes of the game, going up for attack, coming back for defense. But that lineup did work last year. It's sort of like you can either call it a 3-4-3 or a 5-2-1 sort of lineup formation and stuff like that, or 5-2-3, something like that. But if those players don't come back in time, it leaves us in susceptible positions. And Yedlin's old. He's old.
He's up there.
He struggles to get back sometimes. So it's definitely put us in more susceptible positions on the right side of the defense. Oriano's done a great job getting back, but he struggles to go back and forth. So it's all about the players just trying to get conditioning in and learning how to play the positions that Pat Noonan expects of them. But like you said, I mean, Yedlin, he's a great player. He's had some great times in his career, but he's getting too old to play that position that runs for 90 minutes straight.
Fair enough. And then I guess my last question is, do you think the FCC can repeat as the supporter shield winners, and then can they get the revenge and take the whole thing down in the MLS Cup?
So for me, the Supporters Shield, I think, is more important than the MLS Cup. That's because if you look at every other league in the world, it plays by who is number one in the league over a 34-game season. And FC Cincinnati was number one in the league. Now, the issue is with the MLS, all the teams don't play each other, so it makes it a little bit harder. But I believe for me, a Supporters Shield is more important. I think that they can possibly have a chance to win the MLS Cup again this year. It just all depends on how they progress as a team.
Yeah, it'll be fun to watch how they go throughout the season. I mean, in all sports, it's a long season. You want to have a rough start. You want to have ups and downs, a roller coaster of a season. But, yeah, I can't wait to see how that plays out. But thank you, Dimitri, for coming on. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, Ben Miller will join the show to talk about NKU softball and baseball.
No word in the English language is less convincing than probably.
Are you sure we should get matching tattoos on our first date?
Sure. We'll probably stay together.
Probably?
It's been 23 minutes since I ate. I can probably swim.
You should wait 30 minutes.
Okay, now tell me what to do. Cannonball! Cramp! Oh, I have a cramp.
I can probably hit the green from here.
Probably.
Can I get a mulligan?
Ready to go?
Hey, are you sure you're okay to drive?
Yeah, I'm pretty sober. Yeah, I'm probably okay.
Probably okay isn't okay, especially when it comes to drinking and driving. If you're drinking, call a cab, a car, or a friend. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. A message brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Listen and imagine. It takes 5 seconds to send a text, and for those 5 seconds, you're driving blind. Life is worth more than a text. Stay alive. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the Norse Benchawarmers podcast. Colton Smith here, joined by Josh Northcutt and Ben Miller back on the show. Familiar face, huh? Well, today we are here to talk about NKU baseball and softball. We talked about them last week. It was a great showing for them so far this year, and then they decided that we're not going to look as good. It started off, though, the weekend a really great 15-14 win against Wright State. We're starting with baseball here. A great walk-off home run. It was incredible. If you get a chance to see it, it was a really, really good game. There's some highlights online there, but then they turned around and lost the second 2 games. Pitching seems to be the main issue with them. Ben, what have you seen?
Yeah, like you mentioned, NKU, up to this point, they've had a great season, though, but the last 2 series, they lost to Purdue, Fort Wayne, and Wright State. Mm-hmm. Is this time to panic? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Because it's baseball. They're a really good team. We all know who they are, but I'm not concerned. And just looking at their next conference games, they're both on the road against Oakland and Milwaukee, the 2 teams that they swept the beginning of the year. Mm-hmm. But you know how it's difficult to get series wins against Oakland and Milwaukee twice in one season. So it's definitely going to be difficult for sure.
A team twice for sure. I mean, that's 6 games you got to win in a row.
And I'm about to say, even if it was an iffy weekend, 1-2 versus Wright State, they're still in first place.
Yeah,
in the
exactly.
Rising. So, like you said, no time to panic. Mm-hmm. Just keep going full steam ahead. And a big matchup today, I believe, or tomorrow versus Ohio.
Today. I think it's today at 2 p.m. They're playing Union College.
That's it. Okay,
yeah, Union College. But, yeah, I mean, this team, the batting will take them. They can win any game with their batting. It's just a matter of if the pitching can keep them behind the pace that the offense is setting. But looking at softball over there, they also dropped 2 games against Robert Morris. They lost 5-2 and then 1-0 on a doubleheader on Saturday, then turned around and won 7-4 on a beautiful Sunday. They're now tied 3rd in the Horizon League with Cleveland State, who 10-5. You see anything from them this weekend, Ben?
Yeah, like great series win. Who was it? Robert Morris?
Oh, they lost the series.
Lost Robert Morris, beat Ooey Pooey. As I call them, IUPUI.
IUPUI.
Oh, yeah, they beat IUPUI. I forgot them earlier.
Yeah, series win against them. Robert Morris, tough series loss, but yeah, this is another great squad in the Horizon League, like you mentioned. Really good contenders. Just looking at these stats right here, they're 5th in batting with an average of 259 and 3rd in pitching with an ERA of 328. So just looking ahead of today's game against Dayton, a really, really good opponent. 1st in the Atlantic 10 in pitching with an ERA of 239, 5th in batting with a 260 batting average. So this is going to be a really, really good matchup for this Norse squad to go up against.
Yeah, it'll be a big test. This is a team that was able to beat Michigan earlier in the year, so they definitely can, when they're at their best, play up to the top teams in the league. But
hopefully they're not looking ahead, because this weekend they got Youngstown State, who is in first place in the Horizon.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say a big matchup against Youngstown State this week, and they can, like we were talking about earlier with soccer, like they could potentially flip into the lead of the Horizon League if everything works out there. So it'll be a big series out there. But anything else you guys got on these guys?
I mean, Youngstown State, just looking at this, 7-1 at home, only 1 home loss this year. Ooh. So this Penguin squad, they've proven all year that they are the most complete team in the Horizon League. So
that's not how it was predicted either. As Oakland and Northern Kentucky were supposed to be the top guns, but Youngstown State has kind of come out of nowhere and taken that top spot.
Yeah, and they're 1st in batting with an batting average of 290, and 2nd in pitching with an ERA of 285. How about those stats?
Yeah, I mean that's a balanced attack right there that can beat you both ways. Yeah. It'll be very, very interesting to see how the rest of the season plays out. But we are going to take a short break, and when we come back, we have the Norse Benchawarmers 2-minute warning with Josh.
As an 18-year-old, I let my mistakes kind of take over my life. I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it.
10 years later, at age 28, Jackie finished her high school diploma.
When I found out that I was pregnant, I know that I had to do something for myself if I wanted to make her a better person and provide a better life for her. My family never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew what I could become and who I could become as a person. My support team is amazing. The educational director, my sister, and even my 7-year-old daughter has just been more than the support that I could ask for. I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
I want to thank my mommy for loving me so much,
for taking me to the doctor when I broke my foot,
for leaving me alone when I wanted to be alone.
And now, as a grown-up, I'm thankful for being able to take care of you, my dear mom, for taking you to your therapies, for understanding that sometimes you simply want to be alone.
Roles change without us noticing. That's why AARP gives you the information to provide even better care for your loved one. Visit aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the Norse Benchawarmers podcast. I'm not doing any intros. Straight to Josh for the 2-minute warning.
All right, we got 4 questions today. Ben, you can go first. Who is the number 2 QB off the board?
For me, it's Drake May. I mean, I like his great arm strength and his trying to get out of sacks, so I like Drake May as the 2nd overall pick in this year's NFL draft.
Colton?
I got Jaden Daniels just because I don't trust North Carolina quarterbacks. They got a pretty bad rap. No offense, but
no, you're not wrong.
Got a pretty bad rap.
Yeah, for me, it's also Jaden Daniels. He's just fits the scheme better with Cliff Kingsbury coming over as the offensive coordinator. Colton, who should be the last member of Team USA?
Well, I saw Bam Adebayo on there, and I was surprised to see Jimmy Buckets not on the list. That's who I would want.
Ben.
For myself, I'm going with Jalen Brunson. I mean, the season that he's had leading the Knicks to the playoffs, I think he can be a great addition to this USA squad. So, Jalen Brunson for me.
For me, I'm going to go with a youth movement. I'm going Chet Holmgren.
I thought about that one.
Yeah, Chet, get experience in the Olympic Games, learn from the experienced guys who are maybe in their last run. But I do want to throw an honorable mention of Paul George.
Yeah.
This is probably his last one.
As his number 1 hater, I agree.
All right, so for me, the most surprising team in baseball right now is the disappointing Seattle Mariners. Sorry, Garrett. 3 pitchers over a 5 ERA, and that includes Castillo and Kirby.
Well, they didn't disappoint last night.
No, they didn't.
But I got the Tigers. They surprised me. They've looked pretty good here to start, and yeah.
For me, it's the Houston Astros. I mean, 6-12 to start the season, last in the NL West. That's just so surprising to me. I thought they would be a playoff contending team at the beginning of the season, but they're shocking a lot of people.
All right, and then last question: who wins Talladega this weekend?
I'm going with Ryan Blaney. Always a factor on these super speedways. He has 3 wins at Talladega. I think he gets number 4. Ryan Blaney.
Colton.
I got Brad Keselowski. He feels due. The Ford feels due. Just all of it feels due at Talladega.
Eric Jones.
I like that pick. Like that pick. Well, that's all we got for today. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Savannah. Thank you, Dimitri, for coming on today. Thank you, all the people who work on the show. Be sure to listen to the Not So Small Talk show. I think I got it right that time.
You did.
All right, 2 in a row. And then we have The Raid, who just had an interesting interview today, so I'm excited to see what that looks like.
Definitely.
And, yeah, we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.